This is Northern Light for Thursday, August 6th. Good morning. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. More than 50 people showed up at the Adirondack Park Agency's public information session yesterday to voice their opinion on the agency's proposed move to Saranac Lake.
We're in a building that is on its last legs, and although we can keep limping along there, our staff is, I think, looking forward to having a place where they can come in and have modern facilities.
Also on the show, a flower farmer in Keeseville spends her summers growing and arranging colorful blooms.
Anyone could grow flowers and put them together. I think my energy translates. I think the love that I have for the flower translates.
And one of NCPR's music hosts, Barb Heller, has been a touring musician for decades. We'll hear a conversation with her from the HOWL podcast about some of her unusual experiences on the road.
All that's coming up on Northern Light. Stick with us. Northern Light is supported by the Glenn and Carol Pearsall Adirondack Foundation, now accepting grant applications from Adirondack not-for-profits until August 31st. Details at pearsallfoundation.org. And by St. Lawrence Nurseries Potsdam, providing the North Country with cold, hardy fruit and nut trees for over 100 years. slngrow.com. This is Northern Light. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. The public got a chance yesterday to learn more about the new proposed headquarters for the Adirondack Park Agency. The APA plans to relocate from Raybrook 4 miles up the road to Saranac Lake. The state agency held a 4-hour public information event in the village yesterday. Emily Russell reports.
The only thing that Jessica Kemp knew about the APA's plan to build a new headquarters in Saranac Lake was just that the state agency was planning to move from Raybrook to downtown.
Quite honestly, I didn't know anything else beyond that. And then Michael said, hey, we need to go to this. And, do you want to go with me? So I said, yes, absolutely.
Michael is Michael Burpo. The two grew up together in Saranac Lake and both moved back as adults.
I live 3 doors down from the proposed APA building, and I had heard a lot about it.
But Burpo and Kemp both had questions, mainly about the parking.
It's the number one objection that people give whenever there's a new planned business or building that's going to be going into town.
So Burpo and Kemp walked around the town hall. They talked to APA staff and other folks involved in the project. They looked at renderings. The plan is for the agency to renovate the historic Paul Smith's Electric Light and Power building on Main Street and construct a new office building behind it. Right now, that space is just a big public parking lot. The APA says with some regrading and other work, the footprint of the parking lot will actually stay the same size. There will be 60 spaces with more lighting in the back, and it'll be open to the public outside of office hours. Jessica Kemp says learning more about the parking and other project details helped her get behind it.
They're keeping access to the boat launch, and they're keeping parking spaces, and the parking spaces will be available to the public. And the fact that they're going to intentionally take care of the power and light building it means a lot to me.
This project has been years in the making. The state has allocated $40 million over multiple budget cycles for the new headquarters. And earlier this year, the village approved the agency's lease to take over the site on Main Street. APA Executive Director Barbara Rice says it'll be a big upgrade from its headquarters, which they've been in since the agency was founded in the early 70s.
We're in a building that is on its last legs, and although we can keep limping along there, our staff is, I think, looking forward to having a place where they can come in and, have modern facilities.
As this project has evolved over the years, some current and former staff members have pushed back. Some said it wasn't a smart use of taxpayer dollars. Others had ethical concerns about the move. But Rice believes sentiment has changed. She says each division within the agency has weighed in on the project, and the staff has been surveyed. Rice says that's helped the project get more internal support.
We're not getting a lot of pushback, but I do think that, that's also a normal part of any project like this. I mean, it's a big, big change, and, different people react differently to change.
The public information event in Saranac Lake on Wednesday was from 3 until 7 p.m. 54 people showed up, including Jerry Michael. He's the chair of Saranac Lake's Downtown Advisory Board. Michael says he's excited about the economic impact of the new headquarters.
To take a project like this and move it into downtown Saranac Lake, it's going to be such an amenity for all the restaurants and the businesses downtown, clothing stores.
The APA has grown over the years from about 40 staff, now up to nearly 60. Those are good-paying jobs with state benefits. For Michael Burpo, who grew up in Saranac Lake, he sees the new headquarters as a way to help sustain the village for decades to come.
Saranac Lake has a really awesome thing going for it right now. We have a resurgence of youth in town and from out of town. So I think that if this is another way to bring more families into town and keep our schools alive and our businesses going, then that's worth it.
The next steps involve going before the Village Development Board, which includes a public hearing. The APA hopes to put the project out to bid in January, break ground next spring, and be in the new building by 2029. Emily Russell, North Country Public Radio, Saranac Lake.
Republican gubernatorial candidate Bruce Blakeman says New York shouldn't be trying to shut down prediction markets like Kalshi. Jimmy Vielkind with the New York Public News Network has more.
Governor Hochul and Attorney General Letitia James say the platform basically amounts to unregulated gambling on everything from baseball games to elections. But Blakeman says the Democratic leaders should scrap their lawsuit and cut a deal with the platform.
Why not get the revenue now? Why not create the jobs in our state? Why not create economic prosperity?
Kalshi officials say they let users trade positions on the outcomes of events, almost like a stock market. The company says it was talking with the state about paying taxes like betting companies do. Hochul spokesperson Sean Butler says Kalshi violated state law and put consumers at risk. Butler called attempts at self-regulation, quote, meaningless. In Albany, I'm Jimmy Vielkind for the New York Public News Network.
New York State's top energy regulator is moving to implement consumer protections in the state budget. Dave Bullard with the New York Public News Network has more on what this could mean for your home power bill.
The New York State Public Service Commission regulates the companies that deliver electricity and natural gas to your home. Lately, energy prices have gone up sharply. The PSC approves those rate increases before the utilities can charge them to you. Rory Christian, the chairman and CEO of the Public Service Commission, acknowledges there's an affordability crisis right now.
The new powers put forward by the governor in the recent budget have been in response to the growing affordability crisis that we're seeing across the country. Everything from inflation, rising interest rates, to supply chain disruptions that still linger a little bit from the pandemic and other factors, and now global war and the risk that brings. All of that is creating an environment where prices are higher and getting higher for everything that we use, from energy to things in the supermarket and beyond.
The new powers Christian mentions include imposing stricter review rules for rate hikes, establishing independent affordability monitors, and tying utility executive compensation directly to affordability. The PSC has always had the power to punish utilities for poor performance. Earlier this month, the PSC said it had levied $50 million in fines to 5 out of 12 utilities, including National Grid, Rochester Gas and Electric, and the New York State Electric and Gas Company. The recent announcement of $200 checks heading to many New York homeowners is part of that new package, what the governor calls an energy rebate. Christian says it's easy for people to blame the PSC for ever higher rates, but there's much more to it.
There's this common misconception that we set rates. We don't pick a number out of a hat. We don't throw darts at a board and just pick random numbers. These are based on months of discussion, negotiation, and analysis where we determine what is needed to keep the system working and what's the cheapest way to do so. And then we set rates based on the cost to do so, because at the end of the day, everything costs money.
A whole host of metrics goes into setting the rate you pay for power, but Christian says a key metric is 6%. If you're spending more than 6% of your monthly income on energy, that's a cause for his concern and a reason why he intends to make the PSC's new powers help to keep energy costs under control. For the New York Public News Network, I'm Dave Bullard.
This is NCPR.
You're listening to Northern Light, only here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8:11. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around. We'll hear from NCPR music host Barb Heller about some of her unusual experiences as a touring musician.
That's coming up in just a couple of minutes here on NCPR. First, we'll hear a little more music from Mark Corey of Watertown. Northern Light is supported by Zach Hoyt Banjos, etc. in Piercefield, offering handcrafted and custom banjos, guitars, fiddles, and mandolins. More at hoytbanjos.com. And by Seacom Credit Union, home of the Moola Moola Kids account and Spin the Wave, helping children get started saving. Details at seacom.org, NCUA.
Nothing says summer like a bright bouquet of flowers. In today's North Country at Work story, we talk to a flower farmer who loves sharing the beauty of her crops with others. Anna Williams-Bergen has this story from Keeseville.
Over 50 varieties of flowers. That's how many Alyssa Ray Brown has growing this year.
I don't think I could choose a favorite flower. I find that when I see them, I say, you're my favorite, and then another one comes along and I say, oh, that one's my favorite.
Zinnias, sunflowers, celosia, snapdragons, calendula. Brown works at North Country Creamery, a small grass-fed dairy in Keeseville. She makes yogurt here, does invoicing, and for the past 8 years, she's also used some of their land to grow flowers. She spends summers harvesting, arranging bouquets, selling at farmers markets, and always weeding.
I do really love being in the dirt. I love having my hands in the soil. I love when they get dirty. It just feels good.
Brown grew up in the Hudson Valley, playing in the dirt of her parents' garden.
Being with my father and digging potatoes, that was so much fun as a young girl. And jumping on the shovel, and he would let me jump down onto it. And then digging the potatoes was like finding a magic prize.
Brown has loved growing things ever since then. As a teenager, her first job was working on a flower farm. She came to North Country Creamery after meeting the owners through a different farm she'd been working at here in the Champlain Valley.
I think I could have gotten a job anywhere, but being able to work at a place where people care about you and your own successes and your own passions goes a long way.
Brown says that many farms have trouble finding help that sticks around long term. She started growing flowers a few years into working at the creamery, and she says it's part of why she's stuck around.
I think this relationship that we've developed and the support that they have provided has made me more excited about being here and working on the farm. It feels more than just work. It feels like I'm growing.
Brown's flower business has been growing too. She's working on scaling up slowly and sustainably since she does this work pretty much all by herself.
Especially with farming, you don't really know with the weather or the climate how things are going to unfold. It seems like it's a gamble every year. Like I feel like I'm just rolling the dice and hoping for the best in a way.
Brown knows that her flowers are a thing that people buy, but she says to her it feels like more. And she also gives plenty away to kids and to people who seem like they might need it. She recalls how last year, one woman spent nearly 20 minutes trying to decide between 2 bouquets at a farmer's market.
And eventually I looked at her and I just said, I think maybe you should get them both. I said, why don't you take this one and then this one will be a gift from me. And it brought her to tears.
When Brown gives flowers away, she thinks back to the flower farmers she worked for in high school.
They don't probably know to the extent of what their influence did for me, but it went a long way. So you never know what small little action is going to do for someone. It might be life-changing.
Brown says she puts a lot of love and care into her flowers. She thinks her customers feel it too.
Anyone could grow flowers and put them together. There's something more, I think, when you arrange them in a specific way. I think my energy translates. I think the love that I have for the flower translates.
Brown says that the beauty of flowers moves her, and so does bringing that joy to other people. She says it feeds her artistic soul. For North Country Public Radio's North Country at Work project, I'm Anna Williams-Bergen in Keeseville.
Richard Haller contributed to this story. It's part of North Country at Work's Next Generation project, which highlights stories from the region's young workers. If you have a story in mind, we want to hear it. Just text the word NEXT to 315-978-6277. You can also email us at work@ncpr.org.
Police say a Watertown woman was killed in a domestic violence incident Tuesday afternoon. Watertown police responded to a reported stabbing at an apartment on Factory Street. Officers say they found 37-year-old Kristen Parker dead with apparent stab wounds. Police identified 35-year-old Robert Taplin as the suspect and took him into custody. He allegedly admitted to stabbing Parker and was charged with second-degree murder. Taplin was arraigned and sent to Jefferson County Jail without bail. Police did not say how Taplin and Parker knew each other. The incident remains under investigation. Anyone with information is asked to call Watertown Police at 315-786-2601.
An organization based in the Adirondacks is hosting a food drive in Plattsburgh this Sunday. Adirondack Community Connections will collect non-perishable food items and canned goods from noon to 4 p.m. at Trinity Park. The items will be given to the Plattsburgh Interfaith Food Shelf and the Alliance for Positive Health. The drive comes as food insecurity is on the rise in the North Country. According to the Regional Food Bank based in Albany, the counties it covers have seen a 14% increase in food demand over the last year. Thousands of North Country residents could lose their federal food assistance benefits, known as SNAP, due to program changes that went into effect this year.
And part of an interstate highway in Jefferson County will be reduced to a single-lane traffic for paving beginning next week. According to the State Department of Transportation, there will be lane closures in both directions of Interstate 81 from Perch Lake to exit 172. That part of the highway passes through the towns of Pamelia and Orleans. The closures will be in effect from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. weekdays beginning this Monday, August 10th through Friday, August 21st. Drivers should anticipate travel delays and are urged to slow down in work zones where speeding fines are doubled. This is NCPR. You're listening to Northern Light here on North Country Public Radio. It's 8:19. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Stick around after the show for Bird Note, coming up at 8:42. With our eyes to the skies, sunset in Lawrenceville is at 8:18 tonight. And if you look up in the sky tonight, the moon will be a waning crescent at 44% to full.
Warm and humid conditions are expected through the day today, with temperatures climbing into the 80s this afternoon. Chances for showers and possible thunderstorms continue this afternoon and evening, so be sure to stay hydrated and keep an eye on the forecast, especially if you have any outdoor plans. At last check, it was 75 degrees in Fort Drum, 71 degrees in Saranac Lake, 75 degrees in Plattsburgh, and 24 degrees in Cornwall.
Well, NCPR has wrapped up Season 5 of the HOWL podcast. The show features true stories from North Country storytellers, often recorded live on stage at venues around the region. This season has included stories about failed robberies, meet cutes in smoky bars, travels near and far with trips to Chicago and Cuba.
The HOWL season finale has just been released and features special guest Barb Heller. Heller is the host of NCPR's bluegrass show String Fever Thursday afternoons, including today from 3 to 5. Barb has also been a touring musician for decades. She joined HOWL podcast host Ethan Shanty to talk about some of her unusual experiences on the road and to play a song.
I know for me, one of the most significant moments of my entire life as a touring musician, as a lifelong musician, was finally getting my music on vinyl in my hands. It felt so great to hold it. And I felt, okay, I know I'm not going to wrap it up. I know I'm going to keep doing this forever. But if I never did another thing, at least I have this vinyl record with my music on it. And I just felt so accomplished. I felt like I had made it. And of course, like, you keep playing and you keep learning new things, and that one achievement doesn't seem as gargantuan. But you had told me a story one time about getting a test pressing and annihilating it.
My first vinyl, yes. It was your story just brought mine back. Yes, I did receive my first test pressing. And the whole idea was you play it on your record player and see if you like the sound of it. And if you do, then you go ahead and tell the record company to press more of them, the next 500 or 1,000. And so I took my test pressing, and because I didn't have a record player, I thought, well, I'll just take this to my parents' home in Schenectady and put it on their record player. That'll give us a good idea. And that way I can share my first record with them. So I put the record carefully in my briefcase, because at that time I actually had a briefcase. It was a little traveling office, and I put it on the floor of the back seat of my Volkswagen Squareback, which a car I dearly loved, but it was nothing but trouble and constant repairs and breakdowns. But still, I loved this car. Anyway, I headed off for Schenectady through the Adirondacks. It was heating season, so I had the heat on, and I got to Tupper Lake, pulled into the quick stop. This is my usual spot to get fuel, and I think it's closed now. But anyway, I got to checking on my test pressing just to look at it and admire it again, and I picked up my briefcase, and it was very, very hot, and I opened the briefcase, and the test pressing was only in a paper sleeve, and it had gotten so hot that the test pressing had slumped down one side of the briefcase and up the other side like a taco shell that was a little bit uneven. And I was horrified. It's my new record. I haven't even listened to it yet. I was just devastated. But I am resourceful, so I put it back in the paper, the taco shell, as it were. I tried to straighten it as close to flat as I could get it without breaking it. And then I opened the engine compartment of my VW Squareback. They had a pancake engine in the back of the car. And I set the test pressing on top of the engine, thinking, okay, well, that's going to heat that baby up and it'll flatten it right out. So I drove another 100 miles, maybe 2. And when I got out and I took the record out, it had dirt and hair and dust and grit and so much stuff just embedded in all of the grooves, and it was so uneven. You couldn't keep a needle anywhere near it. It would just bounce all over. So I never, ever even got to hear that test pressing. It was a mess. It was just ruined. That's my first record story.
Okay, Barb, thanks a lot for coming in to share some tour stories with me. Let's go out on some songs.
I'd love to. Thank you so much, Ethan. For years, I struggled with how to end a performance that would convey to the audience how much I appreciated their showing up, being there, singing along. And finally, I just decided to write something that would say everything that I was thinking. And so this is the song, and I'll say goodnight with this one. It's called Goodnight, Goodbye. And if you want to sing along, the words are easy. Good night, goodbye, so long, farewell. Sorry, I have an out-of-tune string.
That's what happens.
Well, maybe you ramble and maybe you roam, and maybe you've been from the east to the west. Wherever you travel, be glad to come home, where the soul can find a refuge, the heart can find a rest. So good night, goodbye, so long and farewell. Here's wishing you a happiness, here's wishing you well. And here's one last song and one last tune, and here's wishing to see you all soon. We all have a hand in this world that we live in, a handful of wishes, it's a handful of dreams. We reach for the stars from the dust that we stand in, and settle for something that lies in between. So good night, goodbye, so long and farewell. Here's wishing you a happiness, here's wishing you well. And here's one last song and one last tune, and here's wishing to see you all soon. So good night, goodbye, so long and farewell. Here's wishing you happiness, here's wishing you well. And here's one last song and one last tune, and here's wishing to see you all soon.
Barb Heller is the host of NCPR's String Fever and a lifelong touring musician. She joined Ethan Shanty to talk about her life on the road for the HOWL podcast Season 5 finale. You can listen to the HOWL wherever you get your podcasts. That's it for the show. Stick around for news headlines from NPR coming up next.
Then don't forget to join us this afternoon on String Fever when Barb Heller welcomes former String Fever host Danny Gotham for 2 hours of live concert recordings. We'll visit festivals and concerts from around the globe and maybe share some backstage stories. Join us every Thursday afternoon at 3 for String Fever, only on NCPR, and always available through the rewind function at ncpr.org.
Northern Light is produced by a stupendous team of people: Kara Chapman, David Escobar, Emily Russell, Richard Haller, Anna Williams-Bergen, our interns Khadija Makaji and Twana Chiefji, and our news director David Summerstein, who edits the stories you hear on the show, plus my co-host Monica Sandreski.
And my co-host Catherine Wheeler. And of course from you. Yes, for your financial support of the station, but also for your ideas. What's going on in your world? Is there something we should be reporting on? Reach out. We want to hear from you. Email news@ncpr.org. Our theme music is by Danny Thomas of Canton. I'm Monica Sandreski.
And I'm Catherine Wheeler. Be well.